Welcome back to Hoop Genes. I'm Tony Cella with Matt Horner, and today we've got a bit of a different one today.
We've got our first guest, Gareth Morgans-Mills, who, as well as being a former teammate of mine, is a representative of Grassroots basketball in the UK, having played local, regional, national league for years and years and years, and been involved with the Grassroots game, and we're looking for a perspective that I think will resonate with a lot of our community. So welcome, Gareth.
Welcome, mate. It's good to have you on.
Very welcome.
Thank you. I'm welcome. Really happy to be here.
Good. So tell us, how did you get into basketball? What was your first experience?
Oh, we're going straight in?
We're going
straight
We're in, yeah.
Yeah, no mucking about.
Wow. So I first got introduced to basketball when I was about 8, through doing what they called play schemes at the time at Davison Leisure Centre. If any of the people out there that are watching that know Worthing, Davison's used to have sports programs going out through like half term and summer and stuff outside of school. But it did interest me, but I didn't play, like get involved in any clubs or anything.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I played rugby at Worthing at the time. It was only really I started getting a real interest in basketball through watching the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I've still got the videotape. You probably won't remember videotapes, Tony.
I do, just about.
You'll be surprised.
I remember that rewinding noise you used to have to make, but what was it? Was it black and white or was it colour TV?
Oh no, it was.
You can't use that joke.
No, hang on.
every
If
time.
I'm getting my age held against me, that I'm going to come back with something. So, do you remember those VHSs? Yeah, I do. It's fine.
So I hired the Harlem Globetrotters history.
Oh, okay.
From Blockbuster, which also now doesn't exist anymore.
That's mental.
and
Blockbuster's
then
not
again,
anymore.
probably before your time.
I remember Video Box.
But no, I fell in love with the game through the Harlem Globetrotters and all of that lot, Sweetwater Brown and Clifton and Meadowlark Lemon and all of those guys that were playing, just because it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Really entertaining. And then the whole Jordan phenomenal came along, and I remember going to London with my mum and dad when I was 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
And we went to Harrods because that was the only place they stocked the Jordan jersey.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no way.
Jeez.
And they bought it for me for Christmas. And from then on, I was transfixed. It was then they were going to the Olympics with the Dream Team and everything like that. And it was just a whole plethora of lots and lots of different kinds of entertainment. And basketball was the one key thing for me.
Yeah.
I remember Matt on one of your other shows talking about Alton Bird. And he used to present the NBA program every Saturday at 12 till 1.
Yeah.
And that's how I got really, really interested into it. And then that later went out to doing playoff games on BBC and this, that and the other. But no, that's really what got me involved. But I want to thank my PE teacher at Chatsmore, Dave Murrell. He wasn't a basketball player. He used to play rugby for Worthing.
Yeah.
But he let me have the gym at break times and at lunchtime, and I'd just go and play. And then more people in my year group would come along and play.
Sure.
And so we ended up having games at high school. And it was just, it was a place for me to kind of get loose and I say hone my skills. I was young.
Yeah, of course.
But
in a country that hasn't got basketball up there as being a lot of attention to it.
Exactly. And the only kind of step that I took, it wasn't even a step that I went looking for, was when I was 15, we had an open day. So when you come out of primary school and then go to high school, and you had the parents and that coming around, and Colin from the Worthing Bears came along, and he asked me to come and play at Worthing Bear Cubs.
Yeah.
And that's where the journey kind of started for me with basketball.
Do you still remember kind of going to that first session and how you were feeling towards being there? Because obviously it's a bit of a difference to what you've been playing at school.
Well, it was, but I knew a lot of the people that were playing there.
Right, okay, so you had that.
So we had, where I lived in Goring, there used to be one basketball hoop
Right.
And it's one of the first they put down in Worthing before they even had the ones near the Leisure Centre now.
Yeah.
And there were guys like James Brain, who played for Worthing Thunder and Brighton Bears. He was there, and he was a couple of years younger than me. Ali Dean, Andy Sale, that was really involved with Worthing Bears. And all of those guys that I'd kind of played with were already there. So I went along there, and it was great. It was like I kind of fit in.
It's kind of like, what took me so long?
Well, not what took me so long. It's just I was just enjoying playing, and I was playing every day, and I'd get on my bike and go to the hoop every evening, and there was me, JB, Ali Dean, Andy Sale, Dean Smith, all those guys were all playing at this hoop, and we'd just play 3-on-3 till the night's end, till it got dark. And then I got more involved in the game, and then Colin asked me to come and train with the men, and at that time there was Colin, Alan Cunningham, Herman Harried, Cleve Lewis, Steve Nelson, Alan Prescott, Chris Wright.
So that's basically one of the best British league teams that there's ever been. I mean, not even joking, it literally was. They won the championship 3 years in a row, and it's hard to pick a stronger starting five than they had during those years.
Without a doubt. And the one thing that even not inspired me, but kind of I just wanted to be involved more in this, was the trash talking during practice.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the worst?
Colin.
Yeah, not a surprise.
Constantly.
Without saying as well, like actual nitty gritty, is like how on the levels of kind of, oh, that's strong.
Bearing in mind, I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Colin would trash talk me.
Yeah, but that's just like rite of passage, though, isn't it? Like, you're the young one coming on. You're going to get that.
Yeah, coming from a guy that came out of Bowling Green, then got drafted to the Washington Bullets at the time, and came over here. I'm like, okay, I'll just pay now.
Carry on, yeah.
But yeah, Colin was the most. Alan Cunningham, obviously his background with the Trotters, Harlem Globetrotters. He was also the manager of the gym at Chichester College where I went.
Yeah.
So Andy Knight, that was playing for Worthing Bears at the time, so he played for our college team. And Peter Ray was the coach. Okay. So Peter Ray's got long, in-depth roots with British basketball. So it was all kind of coming together.
Yeah.
And,
So who was the coach at the Bears? Was Cunningham the coach with Neil McElduff?
Neil McElduff, yeah. So Neil McElduff was the coach with the Worthing Bears when I went and trained.
And he would run the sessions, so he would be the alpha, or
running is a different
right
concept because he gave direction and stuff, but it was Colin and Alan, and if you ever get to speak to Neil, he'll probably tell you the same thing. But it was an amalgamation of all of those different personalities that made them so successful.
Right. And how many times a week would you be in that position?
So they only trained twice a week.
Right.
Oh, really?
At the time.
Well, Tuesday and Thursday kind of thing, or
it was trying to think, Tuesday and a Friday, and then they'd play at the weekend.
Right. Okay.
And it's through practicing there when Nick Hamilton was playing for the Bears as well. He then told me to come along and try local league basketball with the fabulous Worthing AOK that we played for.
So that was a huge step up for you. That first session must have been very intimidating.
Oh, no, very much so. No, it was good, and all of you guys were really welcoming, and it was great to be a part of.
Yeah. I remember you coming along because we were mostly probably 7 or 8 years older than you, so we were mid-20s and up. And the league, you were starting to get all these kids, especially in the Worthing area, who were 7, 8 years younger and quicker and had been through similar experience to you, where they'd been well coached and playing with good players. And the league was getting quite hard at that point for the older guys. So for us to have somebody like Gareth,
of course,
who came in and he was fearless and he was fast and he could shoot and he could jump, it was a real asset to our more experienced crew.
Yeah, I like the way you're phrasing all that there.
I tell you this, the one driving force for me even though I was training with the Bears and everything, was at that time, Ammering High School basketball was the best.
Right.
Okay, there was Danny, there was Stu Newman, there was Chris Watson, there was Ashley Clark, there was John Hudson, amongst others, and then Dave Yates was running the team, and they were National League champions 2 years in a row, I think.
Right.
And that was my driving force, because I always went up against them and
you
lost.
were at which college at that time?
I wasn't at college. This was through high school.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So they were just started in college. So they're a couple of years older than me.
Sure.
So I was looking up to them, and my route in them was to go and play for Mid Sussex Magic, as well as Worthing AOK at the time.
Right, okay, blimey.
With Phil Waghorn. Because that's where they all come out of. They'd all gone over to the US and played tournaments and this, that, and the other.
Yep.
And I wanted to be at that level.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows, I mean, your situation, and for a lot of other younger players in this area, so in Sussex, it shows how important having a professional or semi-professional, one or two clubs in that area can be to your development and sparking interest as well. And that must apply across the country. If you've got kind of a focal point of professional team that you can aspire to be part of, and you can go and see these players who are really good, and the level of competition is really good. It can't do anything but benefit the local community in basketball terms, can it?
Without a doubt. And I remember when I was like 13 years old, and I lived just up the road from Worthing Leisure Centre, so where the Worthing Bears played.
Yeah.
And though the atmosphere in there is second to none. I've played in arenas, I've played at loads of other places, Docklands to Newcastle Arena to Manchester Arena to all of those.
Yep.
The atmosphere in there when the Bears were at their height, and Matt, you were being the DJ from your last podcast.
Yeah.
Don't forget the old, was it pink V-neck, was
Pink
it?
V-neck crew,
Earpiece.
But that was when they had the bleachers out on both sides, and then they had the bleachers at either end of the court as well. And it
Well,
held
the same
what,
place that they're at now.
Yeah.
2,500 was it?
Yeah, it was.
And the noise
packed out.
The noise there was just second to anything I've ever experienced.
Well, where Worthing Thunder play now, they have bleachers like all around it.
Yeah.
So I can't see that now with how it is.
Yeah.
Because they've only got obviously on the one side, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's mental.
And you used to have people standing up where the squash court's
Yeah,
balcony
they're
is.
still up
and
there
they're
now. That's
still
where they
there.
record their games from.
And it was immense because you'd used to have the announcements of the team, and then Alan Cunningham would come out, and you have the Superman music going and the spotlight, and all the lights are down, and him running around the court, and just the noise. And another guy you probably should get on your podcast is Steve Lovell.
Right.
He was the instigator of the bear cage, which was on the top left-hand side.
Was he the guy who used to wear the scarf around his head?
That's right.
Okay. Oh wow.
Top
I never knew his name.
top left-hand part of the bleachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was instrumental in like having that core group of people that would follow the Bears everywhere.
And so important to have somebody who gets the crowd going. And
Without a doubt.
Yeah, you
And
need an MC for something like that.
But
like,
that feeling, I remember the first time when I was playing for Worthing Bear Cubs, as they were called at the time. The first game we played before the Bears game. And I was nervous as hell. Absolutely. I was like, I didn't feel like I was playing right. I was constantly conscious of what I was doing. But it was an experience. I felt more nervous playing there than I did when I played for Mid Sussex Magic at Docklands.
Right, so what years were you doing the Cubs and then Worthing AOK?
So between 16 to 20.
Yep.
So in that period of time, I passed my A-levels, and me and you kind of bonded over this when I came to AOK, because I went to South Bank for 3 months.
oh, okay. I've forgotten all about that. Blimey.
And it wasn't for me, the university thing, but went there for 3 months, was practicing with South Bank, and the only reason I went there was because they were playing National League 2 at the time.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they turned it up a notch after I left.
And
you had a good couple of years out of it though, so don't act too hard on.
No, I really enjoyed it, but I wanted to be a fireman at that time. And I didn't have to go to university to be able to do it. And Unfortunately, I didn't get there, but that's by the by. But yeah, so I went to South Bank because they were playing National League. I remember going to the practice and we're doing all of the drills and this, that and the other. I forget the name of the coach who was coaching there at the time because it has gone on from the players coaching to actually them actually having a proper coach. All I remember about playing there was being on a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 fast break in my second session and dunking it. And all of the guys at the back waiting to come in were like, oh, okay. And then kind of bigging myself up a little bit.
Yeah, of course, it's all right. Own it. If you've done something, give it full chest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so during that period of time, I then came back from South Bank and went to Worthing OK. And then it was only the step because we had got Steve Weller come and play for us. Yeah. But yeah, so then Steve came along and then I was still practicing with Worthing Bears and Brighton Cougars started up. Right. So, and Steve was kind of, I don't know what the links were, you have to ask Steve about this, but he said, oh, what are you doing next year? I was like, well, I'm just going to keep playing and I'm going to go to work and
it's just normal life, you know,
And Brighton Cougars started a National League team and entered a team in what was then National League 2, which was actually a National League as opposed to the first groups that they are now. So you would be going from Brighton to Newcastle to Liverpool to Manchester at a weekend and you're not getting paid. But that was my introduction to National League basketball.
So did you have any ambition at that point that you could become a professional basketball player, or did you have that at some point during those years where you were still learning the game?
I was always learning. Did I feel that I could be professional? No. Yeah. And for one of the distinct reasons was you didn't earn a lot of money playing professional basketball in the UK. No. So it was never really on my agenda. I wanted to play. Yeah. And I earned a little bit of money doing coaching for Brighton Cougars. So I coached a couple of schools in Brighton. But that was about it. And I got my expenses paid if ever I had to miss a day of work when I was at Cougars. But never made any money out of it. And my first season at Brighton, I remember we got towards, it was kind of February, March time. So towards the playoff times for the major teams that got to the playoffs. And I came back from practice at Cougars and my mum told me that Neil McElduff left a message for me saying, could I give him a call? And he wanted me to come and play for Worthing. I remember calling him up and I said, Neil, honestly, because they still had a stat roster of Americans. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to be playing 8th and 9th off the bench. And he said, yeah. I said, as much as I love Worthing Bears, I just want to play. Yeah. So I stayed in Division 2 with Brighton and captained them for 5 years. But I wasn't going to get paid even if I went to Worthing. No. So as much, I do kind of regret it because I would have bought you different jerseys today and they would have my name on the back. Yeah.
So which iteration of the Bears would that have been? Because that would have been after, obviously, the glory years. But
yeah, so you still had Steve Nelson there. Yeah. Then you had Chris Pullen bought the Bears from Canada. So you had the likes of Derek Player and
Sean Swords, is that?
Sean Swords, yeah. Sean Swords, Jesus, that brings back memories. He was an athletic player. But yeah, that was in that era. And that's just prior to them moving to Brighton. Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag. Neil left, and then they kind of took care of themselves. Then they defunct for a couple
it bounced around a bit, didn't it, for them in terms of talent level and success. I mean, they were never going to sustain what they had with Irish and Cunningham, but it soon went south, didn't it?
very much so.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the rest of the people that were involved in that community went on and done their own thing, and actually have had influences here, there, and everywhere with different people, and you still kind of see that today, even with yourself, Tony.
Yeah.
So when you were at Cougars, you're playing National League. How often would you train? How serious was it? So for a lot of guys who we played local league, that is as high as we ever got. So
this is when it turned into Worthing Thunder. So I was still practicing with them.
Right.
So I would practice with Cougars on a Monday, I think it was. Then practice with Thunder on a Wednesday. Then practice with Cougars on a Thursday. Then practice with Thunder on a Friday. Then games at a Saturday, sometimes Sunday. And this is when Nick O'Leary was coaching Brighton Cougars. So for those of you that don't know Nick O'Leary, he's a very, very respected Tier 1 coach. He also now writes the FIBA training courses.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
So he knows his stuff.
Yeah. He's got some knowledge, bless him.
He runs Eurocamp with Laszlo, who used to coach England or GB. I can't remember if it was.
One of them, yeah.
And he's also part of the Welsh national coaching team as well.
Oh, no way.
So he's very well respected, love him to death. He taught me so many. He was all about fundamentals, so many different things. And so I was playing 6, sometimes 7 times a week. And
you're how old at this point?
So I was 21, 20, 21. Right.
How do you reckon you do now if you had to play 6, 7 times in a week?
It was playing one day a week.
It's a bit of a mean question.
No, but I'm just curious because I'm just finding it interesting now because some people still have a bit of a belief when they're like, if you ask them that.
Do you know what? The last time I played, so there's a group called the Banana Broke Crew in London. They do an NBA podcast.
Okay.
And I went along. It was for my birthday, actually. My wife, Lily, sorted it out. And she introduced me to them. We went down. I was dressed up as Michael Jordan, but looked like the Birdman from his Miami days. Yeah. And I'd done it for my birthday and then got introduced to them. So I'm part of a WhatsApp group. They organise sessions every week or so.
Yeah.
The last time I got there was last March. And they played for 2.5 hours. I held my own. Bear in mind I was 45, 46.
Yeah.
And those guys are in their late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
So I think I'd done all right.
That's all right. As long as you could walk the next day.
Oh, no, I couldn't walk the next day.
Oh, right, okay.
I was broken, completely broken. My whole body seized up. But yeah, they organised a run. I should go more regularly, but yeah, it's been a long time since I've done that.
You mentioned your wife.
Yeah.
And before we sat down, you were just chatting about her, and she used to play a bit herself, didn't she?
Yes.
I feel like you should tell the world so you don't get in trouble.
She was a fierce MVP for her high school.
Oh, yeah?
In California, yeah. Okay. And then she went to Berkeley. But yeah, she stopped playing after that. She only got to 5 foot.
No.
But she was a renowned Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goggles wearer.
Nice.
Oh, wow, okay.
Sure
feel free to send some pictures in of that so we can just reference for it.
I don't know if any pictures exist, but she was MVP 2 years in a row at high school.
Nice.
As a point guard.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
So you're 21 years old, you're playing as much as you can.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not doing any other sport at that point.
Oh, no, I am.
Oh, okay. what else are you doing?
So whilst I was at college, so 17, 18, I was playing rugby, football and basketball. So there was one time I had to go and play rugby in Portsmouth for Chichester College. Then I came back and played for Worthing Bears Juniors. And then Colin Irish got annoyed at me because I then had to leave early towards the end of the game because I had to go up to Woodside Road in Worthing to go and play football.
Blimey.
There's a multitude of other stories, but 21, I was solely basketball at that time.
Right.
And I was playing National League and basically playing 5, 6, 7 times a week. And it was fun.
Yeah. And did at any point I mean, assuming you kind of avoided any serious injuries at any point, when did you start to think this is too much? I need to kind of maybe lose a team or two here.
Oh, so that was when college finished. I stopped playing rugby, and I literally focused on basketball. So that's when I was at Worthing AOK, then went to Brighton Cougars, and I think I was even still playing for you guys at Worthing when I was at Brighton for a little time, and then it just got too much. So then it just involved Nick gave me the captainship for Brighton Cougars, and that took up my November to March, April, if we got into the playoffs. And it was fun. It was really good. I mean, the journeys that we had, especially when bringing on board the likes of Chris Watson, Stuart Newman, Ashley Clark onto the team as well. So they came across when Mid Sussex Magic finished.
Right.
Came across the Cougars. And I just remember the journeys on long distance trips. So getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning, going up to like Newcastle. And I used to be in charge of accommodation. So I booked hotels and this, that and the other. All the guys had to pay to play.
Yep, of course.
So the club wouldn't even cover the cost of...
Wow. They didn't have it. They didn't have it. They got a grant from Sport England. That's a long story. We had to pay to play. So we would play poker going up or blackjack going up to like Newcastle, Liverpool, wherever we were staying, having a night out or playing a game. So we went up to Birmingham one night. We got lost, dropped the team off. Me and Charlie Baverstock had to go and find the hotel. The guys had been dropped off where the game was being played, found a hotel, checked in, then got back in the minibus, back to the game.
Yeah.
And then we'd come back and we'd play cards or we'd go out and have a couple of drinks, and then the next day we'd sometimes have another game.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was just good fun. I mean, if you had the money behind it, I don't think it would have been as fun.
Right.
Because we were travelling in one of those 12-seater minibuses that they got from Dorothy Stringer High School.
Were they still were they playing at Stringer at that point? So home games would be.
No, we weren't at Stringer at that time.
Right.
We were at Portslade.
Okay.
So all our home games were there. That's before the gym even got built at Dorothy Stringer.
Right.
That was way after.
Blimey.
So we were playing at Portslade, and it was it was just fun. It was just, I mean, I played with Rani and Rami Malik that played for Thunder and Bears. Great players. And I remember just one of the stories is them chucking the kit bag in a bush because they didn't want to take it all the way back to the bus. And we went and got some food somewhere, and then they came back and picked it up.
Didn't have to chuck it in a bag. I thought, no, none of that.
But you know
Risky move.
What came out of that period was something really interesting. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened or who was involved in actually doing it. But Brighton Beach got a basketball court. And it was brand spanking new. It wasn't the biggest of courts, but it was great.
Yeah.
And during the summer, well, prior to that, during the Easter holidays and things like that. So we was, 21, 22, you got Worthing Thunder building the base for itself. Brighton had moved to the Brighton Centre with the likes of Mike Brown.
Yep.
Who I was good friends with. And JB had gone to Brighton as well. And that summer, I can't remember how long the court had been there. It might have only been there for a year. And we had a really good spell of nice weather, which is great for lots of people, not so good for people that are ginger.
Fair skin.
But there would be me, a guy called Adam Moore that played for us at Brighton Cougars. He played for IPFW, Mr. Indiana Basketball, was still here. Kevin Singfield and myself. So that was our four, because it was only, you couldn't play 5 and 5. You could play 4 and 4 comfortably. But then you had when Thunder guys come up, and then you had Brighton Bears come up. And from about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, we'd play.
Yeah.
Winner stays on, literally. And there'd be other people that will mingle around. But I remember one bank holiday, and it was August bank holiday, And there must have been about 500 people there surrounding the court, around the court, and then you've got the up where the road is,
Sure,
on the prom,
looking over. Phenomenal. Then probably a year or two afterwards, NBA Street came out on the PlayStation, and one of the courts was Brighton Beach basketball court.
No way, was it really?
Mm-hmm. You can look it back up. I don't know how it got there. I don't know why it got there. But I know damn well those people that are involved, the likes of Danny, Chris, me, Mike Brown, all those people were involved within those teams. There was something out of that, have so many people watching for that court to be actually on a computer game.
Yeah. Well, that would have gone viral nowadays, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
EA Sports. You can find it now. But yeah, that was phenomenal.
And have you got any particular games from your Cougar days that you think that was like a performance, I think was like my best performance for Cougars, or anything along those lines? Or a shot you remember doing?
We played Thames Valley Tigers. They used to play out at Bracknell, and then they moved to, I forget the army base, which is just down the M3.
Right.
Just outside, I forget the name of it, but they played there. And I remember the Evening Argus wrote it up saying, Gareth Sparks Cougars and Morgan Sparks Cougars, I think it said. And we were down by 4, and then I went and shot 3 3-pointers in a row in the last quarter, and we ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
That was a big one. But I wasn't the scorer of the team. We had Adam Moore, we had Brian Snyder that came over from Michigan. We had Steve McQueen from Canada. So although I was captain, I wasn't the main scorer of the team.
Yeah.
And I just done what I needed to do. I held myself down on defence. And to be fair, I mean, although he was only a couple of years older than me, Danny Hildreth, he's a great defender. And I mastered my game on him. Yeah, I could score a bit more, but I remember playing against him and I just defended.
Yeah, of course.
I was tenacious on that aspect, and I thought as much effort I can put in on defence, then the offence will come. And I've got other guys that can score, such as Rami Malek and Adam Moore and those guys.
Would there be any guys you'd come up against at that point where you would think, okay, this is going to be a tough night because this guy's really, really good?
The one team that we struggled against all the time was Barking and Dagenham.
Right.
Barking and Dagenham Erkenwald, they were called at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it was the Grangesborough Leisure Centre, I forget now. But we always struggled. It was always a close game, but it was always a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
And they had a guy called Dave Churches. I think he played higher up. I don't know his story, but he was, 6'10"? And we used to play a zone at the time, and I used to mark him. But because I was quick, I would get in front of him when they tried to throw the ball into him. But I think we played them maybe 10 times. We lost 9.
Oh, snap.
But what I will say is that this is when Ashley Clark was playing for us and Stuart Newman and Chris Watson. And we all got in his car to go up to the game. And Ashley worked for a company called Rockport at the time. Then turned into Reebok, or Reebok bought them. And Ash used to be a salesman, and he had this big metal case in his boot, and it had samples of all of their gear.
Yeah,
and he had samples of footwear, but they were all size 7. And I remember Ashley telling me, he's like, "No, we stock size 7 because no one has size 7 feet if they're male." But they were only left foot. And we went up, and I remember the game distinctly, 1 because of this event, and 2 because the first play of the game I ended up getting a dunk.
Yeah.
But we ended up coming back out of the leisure centre, and his whole rear window was smashed in. And they'd stolen this metal case full of left foot sample sizes.
You'd be absolutely livid, wouldn't you, if you open that up? Jeez.
They'd broken into his car and stolen the case for something that they can't even use.
Oh, no.
It's like something out of Only Fools and Halls.
Yeah, it just.
So we patched it up and we ended up going back home. But it was just so funny that you've stolen something, you can't even use it.
Yeah, it's quite a disappointing result if you've gone to all that effort.
Yeah, exactly.
Stealing that.
That was just a senseless crime.
But that was towards the end of the Cougars' time for me.
So what brought that to an end?
Just work,
Right.
predominantly. I then got back into rugby.
Right.
But as well as playing rugby for Worthing, we then actually got me back involved with basketball, and we started up Worthing Tropics.
Right. You're playing what level?
Local league.
Right.
So Sussex League, Basketball League. And we needed money, so I reached out to Spalding at the time, because they were just coming back into the UK after they sponsored a team in Scotland. A guy called Paul Sherratt, who was the UK country manager at the time. And I got Sadie Mason, who worked for Sport England at the time as well, and she was part of Sussex Basketball, and Roger News, who was the chair of Sussex Basketball. And I got those people talking, and I ended up getting sponsorship for what was then Worthing Tropics Basketball and the Spalding kit for...
That's pretty cool. Actually have a decent sponsor,
75% off. And I introduced them to Sussex. They were going to sponsor Sussex Basketball and Sussex Schools. That didn't pan out. But what happened was they then got back into England, because Sadie was part of England women's basketball. And they ended up doing that kit for England women's. But I was playing rugby, got back into Worthing Tropics basketball, and run that for 5, 6, 7 years with Ashley. And then introduced them into Sussex Bears basketball, where Chicken was, Gary Smith. Go on.
Oh, I didn't know the answer to this. Why is his nickname Chicken? Do you know?
I don't know.
Right.
I still don't know the answer to that.
Has been that.
Well, there's a story there that needs to be unravelled.
So, Gary Chicken Smith, I think he broke into National League when he was 15, I think at the time. Maybe Birmingham Calderdale, something like that. He was super talented for his age group. He came down to Sussex and he'd play for the Bears when they were really good. And he stayed around. I think he's at what's Brighton Bears now, isn't he? At Lancing.
He runs the academy there. And we, Worthing Tropics, were brought in to bridge the gap between their under-18s and their National League teams. So they had a local league development people where anyone could come along if they're 18 or above. Sometimes we'd get juniors from 16 and above come in, because I kept every session open.
Yeah.
But out of that, we've had guys come in that were in their late 40s, early 50s that are now coaching their kids that got back into basketball through that particular team.
How did you find building that up, and obviously starting off as you did and then ending up where you got to as well? Because obviously you need to get numbers through the door. It's not going to start straight away with 30, 40 people. How did you...
Facebook.
Oh, really?
Facebook. I literally sent out and shared every single training session we had.
Yeah.
I say training, it was basically an open run.
Yeah, of course.
There was some construct around it. But
Where did you play out of?
At St Andrews.
Okay.
Before we moved to Lancing and the academy there with Chicken.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was literally just word of mouth and putting posts out on Facebook saying, look, if you want to come in, and there are people that have come in from that have moved to the area and got in contact. So at the most, especially when we moved to the academy for 2-3 years, we had 30 or 40 people come into practice, and we tried to keep the cost as low as possible. We even subsidised a couple of guys because they couldn't afford to play, and it was only £3 a session.
Right, okay.
Because that was their outlet.
Yeah.
They needed it. If they didn't have it, then they'd go and do something else, whatever that may be. So at the maximum we had 30 or 40 people, and we had 2 courts at the academy, so we could run games for 2 hours.
Yeah, of course.
Every Thursday, which was wonderful.
That's pretty cool.
Before we wind up, just
wind up or wind down?
Don't know.
We wind,
should we wind it down? Wind it up? That's all right.
Before we wind you up, okay.
Yeah. No, we're not going to wind him up.
That's it's your phrasing, dude. I'm just trying to keep you on ball, mate.
Who was Who do you see as the biggest influence on your basketball journey?
On people I look up to, certainly Colin Irish, Nalan, because I spoke to them all the time, certainly from a basketball perspective. Influence in making me get better was the teams that were above me, the Amring teams, the Danny Hildress, the Chris Watsons, the Stuart Newmans. They made me want to get better because I was at Chatsmore High School, one single guy, and we had a team. We weren't all that great.
Yeah.
We won here and there. But, yeah, just those kind of people, those that have been around me, that they may not even know it, that I've looked up to them.
Right.
And the Phil Waghorns of this world. And then playing with him when we got our own wing team in the local league and seeing Phil spin off 8-9 3-pointers in a row, it's just ridiculous, you know? So those kind of people. And then you have the outside influences, which are the likes of the Michael Jordans of this world that I look up to. But yeah, I'd say that.
And if you were putting together 5 players you've played with, and would be the best team of people you've played with, who?
Well, I wouldn't be in that team, Matt.
Well, that's
I've asked Matt this question before as well, and he doesn't put himself in the team either.
That's fair enough. So that's fine. Who would you want to watch out of the people you've played with?
If you had to coach it, if you had to pick, like, right, these are my team to...
Who would I want to watch? Oh, well, what, out of anyone?
From people,
the people that I've
people you've played with, yeah.
Wow. I would say there's so many different people. If I had 10 players, maybe. I mean, Danny and Chicken are both very similar players. They're both defensively minded and everything. Colin used to just shoot from wherever he felt like it. Alan Cunningham, because he was a great rebounder. If above all, he could score as well.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, another rebounder, which would be good. Shek Sese, that I played with the Brighton Cougars.
Right.
He was only my height, but he could, 1, jump out the building, 2, was just an awesome rebounder.
Yeah.
And then if you just want someone to score all the time, I mean, I've already mentioned Colin Irish, but then you've got the likes of Mark Hubbard and Billy Hunraker. But the other guy that I could always count on, a guy called John Mills, played with me at Cougars, played for Stenning basketball, could shoot the lights out. He will tell you himself, he would not be able to do a layup because he'd just get knocked out the paint or whatever, and he couldn't get up and down the court. But I remember one game in the first quarter, we played Colchester, and he scored 10 3-pointers in a row.
Oh, my. Wow.
And we were up by 50 in the first quarter.
Jeez.
From an upright stand-up shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Millsy.
That's crazy stats.
Crazy stats.
Yeah.
If you could have one coach that team with you...
Nick O'Leary.
Yeah. Not even hesitation. There was no mucking about there of, I don't know how to figure out.
Neil McElduff done so much with Worthing Bears. He had a great player base. I think from a fundamental point of view, and Nick taught me that, was, he through and through, if you want a coach that can teach you fundamentally and show you not how to play the game, but show you the dynamics to play the game. He's this guy.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant and well-deserved in the recognition that he's got working with FIBA and Wales basketball.
Yeah.
And the Euro camp.
Yeah, there's not many people who are able to make a career, a lifetime career out of the game. Yeah. And you've got to be either very lucky or very talented.
It pains me to say it because he's an Arsenal fan and I support Tottenham. Yeah, it's
that's I'm a still late confession to make.
I was about to say, brave getting out there nowadays.
Yeah,
Nick O'Leary.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it's
sorry, I'll interrupt you. I think that's
just try and caress my hand.
Yeah, a good place. Just shut up. A good place to kind of bring this draw to conclusion.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, we've kept you quite long, Gareth. Thank you, mate, for coming and seeing us.
Of course.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's lovely seeing you.
And hopefully your perspective on Grassroots and playing not at the top level, but at a good organised level in this country will resonate with some of the people who will listen.
Yeah, of course.
I think you've got a lot of people that have played at my level. I mean, Gareth, who's down at Plymouth Raiders now, running there, he's played with Crystal Palace and this, that, and the other. He's doing a good turn down there about getting basketball back lively in Plymouth again.
Right.
But there's loads of other people that are out there.
Yeah.
I think just need bringing together.
Yeah.
And if this can help that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. It's part of the aim, isn't it, really, dude?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So, Gareth, thank you very much for coming in, mate. As you say, that's really cool, and to hear your perspective on everything, because obviously it's a bit more than what we've been able to do. Obviously, my basketball's nowhere near as experienced as yours or yours, so it's just nice having that kind of information. Should we sign it off?
Do it.
Yeah.
Right, thank you for watching Hoop Genes again. I'm Tony Cella with Matt Horner, and thank you to Gareth for coming in and seeing us. Anything you want to say, dude?
Follow, share.
Oh yeah, follow, like, subscribe. Follow, like, share, subscribe. I feel like that's too many that time as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
says,
hoopgenes.com.
Yeah, that's
we're
the
on
one.
Instagram, we're on Facebook, and on YouTube.
That's us, isn't it?
Good.
Well, we got there eventually.
Cheers, Gareth.
Brilliant.
Thank you, mate.
Nice one.
Thank you.